I've got two questions. This is for Edra, uh, relative to short sale addendum, mortgage mitigation firms. You stated that they have to be licensed by the Texas Department of Savings and Mortgage Lending.
Yes.
Do they have to be licensed, or can they just be registered if they are employed by a bank?
If the individual or if the company is owned by a bank. That's what you mean? If it is an individual that is employed by a bank, then they need to be registered.
And then, thank you. And then, Dick Hargis, can an offer be declined or withdrawn via a spoken medium, such as telephone, email, or in person? I understand it cannot be accepted, but can it be declined?
Yeah, I think it can. I mean, first of all, remember, you have no obligation to ever respond to an offer. I don't know why you would take that opportunity. I mean, you would want to probably negotiate if you get an offer. But there's no obligation for a seller to even respond to an offer to purchase the property. And I suppose you could call them up and on the phone or have your agent relay your message. Hell no, I don't want you, not going to do your offer. But I would think in most instances you would be looking to negotiate. I've always liked the what I always called the charm school form that we have, indication of a willingness to negotiate further, okay? Which I always thought is such a very nice way of saying your offer stinks, but here's something that maybe you should consider and we might consider a little bit more.
I was thinking more of an offer that a buyer makes to the seller.
Right.
And then the buyer says, hey, I've changed my mind, I don't want to make this offer, so...
Oh, you mean to
the agent either calls the other agent and declines.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're talking about withdrawal of an offer.
Withdrawal.
Yes, no. If you make an offer in writing, you need to withdraw it in writing. So there needs to be a letter sent that the offer dated such and such is hereby withdrawn or is no further force in effect, okay? Do not allow offers to just wander and float out there, okay, from a buyer's perspective. Similarly, from a seller's perspective, if the seller is the one making the counter offer back to a buyer, put a fuse on it of some sort, a termination date, or if you're going to withdraw it, do it in writing if it's a written offer.
What form do you suggest that we use if our homes fall within a PID district, a PID district?
Oh, I don't think there is no form. There is no form. I mean, I suppose if you have some information from that district that has come into your possession or to the seller's possession, it could be provided to prospective buyers through information from another source, that form. You could use that form to pass it along. If there's some written materials that you've received about the PUD, but there's no requirement at this time that be, there's no disclosure form for that.
Well, here we had that statute changed a couple of years ago to include all of the notice that's required actually in the body of the contract. So there's no additional notice language or notice form or anything like that a seller needs to give to a buyer.
Edra, if you could go back and explain a little bit about the role of the realtor negotiating with a lender on behalf of the seller. I was taking notes on your previous topic, and I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand what you said.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a fast talker, unlike every other Texan. So,
I'm from Georgia.
okay, okay, all right, all right. So when you are representing a seller, and the seller is involved in a short sale, or they're having a short sell their property, you as the real estate licensee should not be involved in trying to negotiate on behalf of your seller with the seller's lender. Now, it's okay for you to take a contract that you've received and take that and submit that to the lender and say, have you looked at that yet? What do you think about this? And that sort of thing, and then convey that information back to your client, and then help to facilitate the negotiation between the buyer and the seller. But as far as representing the seller to the lender, that's what you should really avoid doing. But it's fine, of course, to have discussions with the lender about what the lender might accept or an amount that they might be willing to approve. but just make sure that that doesn't cross the line into actually representing and negotiating with the lender on behalf of your client.
Dick Hargis, question about the water district notice. I've always been of the opinion you shouldn't reference the water district notice as an addendum or attachment to the contract. Do you agree?
I don't think you have to, no. You don't. I don't really, it can be an addendum. I don't think it takes away from the contract for it to be called an addendum, but it's not absolutely required. It can be given separately. That's what the statute provides, or as part of the contract.
Page 9, what is looking to be like page 9 of the contract now, used to be page 8 that we're currently using. It's not part of the contract, but it's page 9 of 9. It's just always been a burning question to me. Why is it page 9 of 9 instead of 8 of 8 and 1 of 1?
Well, the answer that I would give is that really 9 times out of 10, you are going to be giving that entire 9-page or 8-page right now, 9-page document to whoever the escrow agent is. And so it's just clear. I mean, those are the number of pages that are included. You're right. It's absolutely not a part of the agreement between the buyer and the seller. It's underneath their signature, so I don't think there's any confusion about that. It's not supposed to be signed by anybody. So, you know, but it also does include the escrow, the seller's receipt of the option fee receipt. It includes the earnest money. So I think it does need to actually be included in the entire body, but it's below the signatures. It's not a part of the agreement between the buyer and the seller.
The third-party financing or credit addendum.
Yes, sir.
Provides for provision that deals with a time limit where the buyer can withdraw from the contract if they have not received adequate credit approval for their financing.
Right.
Why is there not some statement in the contract or via addendum that would deal with the lender's obligation to approve the property, whether it be through appraisal or adequacy of insurance, or whatever it might be? Because without that, it basically gives a seller, at least a seller hanging out here on the limb until the day before closing, such that the appraisal might come back, oh, we just found out it's not going to be adequate, or the insurance is not adequate. So why isn't that dealt with on some level?
You know, Bill, I don't know the answer to the question of why. Certainly, I think the reasoning behind all of that is a history lesson, and we've had like quite a few of those today. And I believe it was to give the buyer a little more time to, and theoretically that if the realtor's done their job in pricing the property, and I know that game right now, I understand that really very strongly, that we should believe that we've done our due diligence for the property to be appropriate collateral for the price that you're asking. And so if you have actually taken care of that in a perfect world, then the only thing that's a contingency then would really be that you'd want to, that would affect the seller, would be the buyer's credit worthiness, which is what you try to put a shorter fuse on. And certainly a comment could be made that you could put a limit on that.
The only reason that I address this is because we now move into a new mode,
Right.
I think, such that the opportunity for communicating with the lender, much less the appraiser, is more limited than it was at one point in time.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to get this knowledge, I think, and it does, in fact, I think, leave sellers who are out there signing contracts with their furniture and on apartments and new homes and everything else without appropriate knowledge.
Right.
There's no heat, there's no pressure on the lender to have to deliver within any time period.
Well, certainly if a seller was concerned about those parts of the property approval, and of course I'm flanked by attorneys, the seller could write language into paragraph 11 about how quickly the appraisal and other things might be done that would cause that collateral to be established on whether or not it was appropriate for the loan.
The seller's not asking their realtor to practice law.
No, I didn't say the realtor was going to write that language. I said the seller was going to write that language.
Okay, we have a couple more questions back here in the back. I guess it's
You know
George
why?
Ken.
Maybe George knows why.
Answer, Avis, I'm wondering,
Bill,
the lender would not.
Bill, George knows why. He's going to answer it.
I'm not saying I know why. I'm going to throw it up the flagpole and see who salutes.
Okay.
The lender is not a party to the contract.
That's right.
So you can't hold somebody responsible who's not a party to the contract.
Yeah, I think, I didn't hear him say that, George, and I'm trying to be really kind and not be ugly to you, but I think what he said was, why don't we put a timeline on all of those things that have to be done to get the property approved, like put an appraisal, a contingency for the appraisal to be done within a short fuse after the execution of the contract, so that we know about property being approved. That would have to be done by the buyer, ordered by the buyer, blah, 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 paid for by the buyer. Yes, sir?
It's what I think is appropriate if a buyer strains, or maybe it's the buyer's lender, but it's still the buyer, a seller out to the day before closing and announces, well, gosh, we couldn't get the,
Yeah.
we couldn't get the insurance, give us our rest money back.
He's concerned.
Where did the seller?
Former Chairman Stevens, who's of course not listening anymore. Bill's concerned about sellers being strung out till the end of the deal, and then the buyer saying, the property didn't appraise, adios, I want my earnest money, and we'll see you later.
I certainly think the seller could instruct the listing agent that in the offer contract in paragraph 11 that they want to put a time limit for providing an appraisal. I don't think that would be practicing law. I don't think that at all. So if a seller is worried about being strung out over a period of time and perhaps losing the sale over an appraisal or underwriting requirements, then I would be, I think you could certainly do that.